Hello, Facebook friends and family. I'm Love Coach Scott Thomas, and it's Straight Talk on November the 6th, 2020. And you've got four very interesting, magical people coming from very different parts of the world. Of course, here is my partner in all of this, Trish.
Hi, everyone. Good evening.
Now, Trish is fairly close by. She's just a little ways away from me. We're both in Northern California. But then we head south to Cabo to where my dear friend Monique Darling is joining us.
Welcome. Hello, everyone.
And now for crazy, wild, exotic, meet Eugene, who is in Macedonia. Actually, North Macedonia.
Yes. Hello, everyone from North Macedonia.
And tonight's show, we're going to be learning all about the One World Tantra Festival, which is a creation of Eugene. And so, Eugene, I'm going to pop the spotlight right on you and just ask you to tell us all about it.
Great. Well, first, Scott, thanks for having us, and thank you for being part of the One World Tantra Festival. So I organize, I think it's 6, and we were going to add 2 this year. So multiple in-person Tantra festivals in different parts of the world. And of course, with the pandemic and cancellations of events, there was a lot of pain to cancel these gatherings. And back in May was the first time that I tried to do an online festival, which at the time there was very little expectation. Kind of thought maybe 200-300 people will come. It'll be mainly people that we know, and it'll be sweet. We'll see each other on Zoom. We'll do some stuff, and it'll be just what we can do. And I really had no idea how big it would be. We had 1,600 participants from around the world. Feedback that it was such a deep and powerful and transformative experience. Really learned how much we could convey through this medium, and that inspired me to then create more of these events. Because instead of looking at it from the field of limitation, the sense of what we cannot do in person, instead realizing that we're no longer limited by geography in terms of who I can invite to teach or who can participate. We're no longer limited by time. The festival is 7 days, 24 hours a day. And it's an amazing potential gathering where we can get some of the top teachers in the world and put them in front of participants who, maybe have been curious about Tantra, but have never had the opportunity to learn it. Because what we discovered through some polling was about 80% of our participants were completely new. And that price, accessibility / geography, or the fear of having to explain to their friends and family that they've been curious about Tantra were barriers for many people from participation. And all of a sudden, for a low price, they could come and have an immersive experience, meet people from around the world, and get incredibly high quality information, hundreds of hours of information. And that got me really excited, because my passion for sharing Tantra is more about the reach and the impact we can have. And suddenly what felt like a, dealing with limitations event became the awareness that this might be the medium that actually allows us to reach thousands of people around the world who need this most and otherwise wouldn't be reached. So that's the motivation for this festival, is we have an even larger group of facilitators from around the world, another day of content, and then actually an extension of 5 weeks of ongoing content, not as intensely as during the festival, but 5 weeks afterwards, and then an ongoing library, university, and community, because I realized that, even when we're back to some sense of normalcy around travel, the desire to learn these teachings and have them accessible, have Tantra brought into our homes where we can reach it, as opposed to having to get on a plane and go to Bali to learn, is something that can be a really lasting and powerful impact for the world. So that's the festival, and that's the why. Yeah.
We'll learn more about the festival and talk more about it. I want to introduce my other special guest tonight, one of my dearest friends, Monique Darling. And Monique has had one of the most remarkable lives of anyone I know. She has gone from what would be seen by many as a very almost conservative mainstream life, raised Mormon, 3 children, living in Utah, to this extraordinarily liberated woman who still is very close to her 3 kids, close to her family, but has traveled literally around the world and has done over 2,000 Tantra workshops, cuddle parties, play parties, helping people all over the world to open up and to be liberated and free. So Monique, I love you so much. And it's great to have you on the show. Welcome.
It's really fun to be here, Scott. And I love that you were one of my first introductions to Tantra. And I had gone to my first cuddle party, and Reed Mahauko, that does cuddle parties, we started talking, and he's like, well, maybe what you need is Tantra. And so I start looking, and Scott Thomas is teaching a Tantra workshop in Vegas like a week later. And so my husband and I drove down the couple of hours, and I sat there and I was just like drinking it in. And my husband was like, deer in the headlights, what's happening? And it was just so beautiful to find this common languaging. And like Scott has just been such a masterful teacher on this path of communication. And like growing up with a family that hid everything and wouldn't talk about anything, and then me being an empath and feeling it all, and I'm like, just tell the truth. And like I love the skills and tools that you teach, Scott. And that's really why I love Eugene. Like Eugene was one of the first people I met that will just be sitting there together, and he's like, awkward, and just calling it into the space. I'm like, oh, my whole body relaxes. This is fantastic. And yeah, Eugene's one of my best friends in the whole world. And like when I was in India, my partner and I got stuck in India for 5 months during the lockdown. And Eugene wrote me and was saying, hey, I have this fantastic idea and I want to get together all the people that we love. Do you think it's going to be okay to have 100 teachers? And I'm like, yes, let's even do more than 100. Like, who are your favorites? So he started going through his list, and everyone started saying yes. And he's like, wait, this person said yes, and this person said yes. It's really going to happen. And that I keep getting the same feedback, is there's so many people, like because of the pandemic for sure, then now is one of the only ways it feels safe for people to get together. But even long before that, people were afraid to leave their house for whatever reason to come to a tantric workshop or a festival. And this is a way that they can come, and it's fantastic.
So while we've got the spotlight on you for a moment, Monique, tell us about, if you can get more specific, how did Tantra and sacred sexuality help you to really become liberated and at your particular age in life to be more sexually open than ever before, to be more in your body than ever before?
Well, when I found Tantra, I was 33, and I'd never masturbated ever in my life, because I was told if I did that, then I was going to go to hell. And all I wanted was this little girl that felt God from the time I was little. I wanted to go be with God and Jesus. So I followed all these rules, and one of them was you don't touch your genitals. And I'd also had a lot of sexual abuse. And so even when I got married and it was okay to engage sexually to have children, then sex hurt. And so any type of penetration hurt me. And so there was this beautiful space that about a year and a half in that I finally masturbated for the first time. And like, I still have a picture from that day. Like I was in the sunlight and I was just like, oh, this is my body. And I started wanting to reclaim it. And so I went, did you have a question, Scott? I saw your face. Okay.
No. Because your story, I know your story, but I want our viewers to hear your story.
So I went to several different teachers, and one of them was Kamala Devi down in San Diego. And she was actually my first woman teacher that got out a mirror and looked at my yoni. And she's like, this is beautiful, Monique. Do you know that there's some people around the world that get plastic surgery to have a yoni that looks like yours? She's like, you were just born with the most magnificent yoni. And I can't believe you've never looked at her before. And like, it started me on this journey of really starting to love my body. And as the more that I love me and the more that I work through the trauma and the things that have been held, from body work to emotional release to all the different tools like breath, sound, and movement that Tantra teaches us, then my body started opening. And I finally had Rita, female ejaculation a few years later. And like, my whole body was just like, oh, sex is fantastic. And so but being able to have people hold me, like that's when, and having that experience of my body going from so much pain and so much this is fear to just total liberation helped me see that was my mission in life. And so I've been so excited to be able to help so many other women be able to reclaim that power and pleasure.
You know, it's so beautiful, the work that you've done. And it is powerful. So question to both of you, and then I want to turn over to Trish because I don't want to be completely dominant here because it's not a domination workshop, it's a Tantra workshop. How do you teach, like what are some of the ways digitally, what are some of the classes, some of the workshops? Trish and I can talk about what we're going to be teaching in a few minutes, but what are some of the classes and workshops and experiences that people are going to be having through the One World Tantra Festival? And we'll start with Eugene, since you're choosing the events.
Yes, unmuting. So, yeah, thank you. And it's actually really beautiful to re-listen to Monique's story, because we have resonance points, both having a Mormon background and such, and the permission to love ourselves. And this is something that we can convey online. So when I went into this medium with Zoom, our first expectation was that we'd be very limited in what was possible. And actually, of course, simply a talk on a topic is one of the aspects that you'll experience. Some of the workshops are just going to be conveying of information, which actually oftentimes I find in a festival like this is the most powerful piece, because we can lean into these spectacular experiences, and then people at the end of it go, wow, I felt a lot, it's amazing, I'm opened up. But my mind is part of this, and it actually does want to understand, what is Tantra, where did it come from, what are some of the classic teachings, and so we do have those talks, we do have the conveyance of information, but we can do so much more. This technology with Zoom allows us to, for one thing, we can send music through. So we have dances, we have embodiment workshops, from shaking to medicine dances to, it's incredible actually when you have a screen, and some of these events get quite large. We have 500 people in a room, and there's 50 of them on your screen at a time. And so it's little thumbnails, and you're dancing, and then, your eyes kind of catch the space, and you see that other people are there. And I was really amazed at how much I felt other people in a way that triggered my body memory that wasn't really dissimilar from being in a room with people, that energetically and emotionally I still feel their presence because I can see them moving. We have interactive experiences. So if you've been to workshops and you've experienced the power of, like having a breakout group and, being with a group of 4 or 5 people and having a deep heart share. So this technology allows us to put people into breakout rooms, give them a question, or send someone with them that kind of moderates a little discussion, so that we can have the gift of going deeper into process in some of our workshops. There's even a few that are specific for couples. So if you have a partner in the space, we have meet and greets, because there's going to a festival to learn for ourselves, but also we do want to meet each other. We do want to feel the global community. So again, this technology, through breakout rooms, through pinning people and having conversations, we actually have meet and greet opportunities. We have free flowing temples where there's different rooms with different themes where people can go in and interact at their own pace. So what we've done is say, instead of assuming we can't do things, what if we took everything we would have at a festival normally and find a way to do it? We have emotional support tents. We have, kind of like the cafe where, oh, wow, I just done a lot of workshops. I want to stay connected, but I'm a little overwhelmed with the information I'm integrating. You can go to the cafe, and it's a held space where people are just mingling and connecting. And there's someone there to help you with the technology so that you can, more easily go and meet others. So it's far more similar to an in-person event in terms of the quality and the range of experiences than you would imagine. And I continue to be blown away at what's possible.
Eugene, that's really, really cool. Great job on how you've done it. I'm just putting up on the screen kind of the logo to your website. And again, we're talking about the One World Tantra Festival. It starts on November 20th. So that's 2 weeks from tonight. Trish and I will be teaching there along with a lot of our favorite friends. And really want to encourage everybody to register and participate in it. Monique, what's it like for you, having done 2,000 live workshops? How is it for you now using a digital platform, and what will you be teaching in 2 weeks?
I love teaching energy sex. Like, that's fantastic for people, because especially if they're stuck behind their computer screen and they haven't connected in a while, then energy sex is one of the most fantastic ways to be able to connect with themselves, with each other, with the universe. And we're like, look, you can have a threesome with the sun right now and your partner from Zoom, and just letting them feel the energy. And especially when they're all juiced up from the festival and they've been to the cafe or they've been to the temple night, and then they just come in so open and they're like, how do I connect? And we're like, look, just feel. And you can feel the energy. And then from those places, then they can start connecting with their words, with their eyes in the breakout rooms. And so I love helping people be able to have access to that energetic quality that so many of us feel, but we often don't have so much access to it. And so then it's just playful and fun. And then always different conversations around money. Like, if Eugene picks that topic, that's one of the ones I submitted, is being able to have this dance with money. I love ritual, and ritual translates fantastically across for Zoom. So whether it's meditation, well, I've done my puja where people are actually getting given to by different elements from India. And then this class, then you'll actually get to make love to money and be able to enjoy that feeling and that essence. And so, like Eugene said, there's pretty much nothing that you can't do if you want to in these festivals.
Yeah. I've actually taken some online workshops with Eugene, and that was fantastic. And I'm wondering now if I might have met you at a puja in San Diego years and years ago. Oh, what was the guy's name? He was lovely. Oh, it was
Lawrence, Kai.
Kai! Oh my God, Kai!
Yeah.
Totally, it was totally Kai. Oh, it was amazing. I just want to touch on both something that Monique and Eugene were saying. I've been leading a experiential room at a private sex party online, and there's so much that you can do just through a screen, and what it offers people is this opportunity to unzip in a way that they can't do in person. And the things that I like about the neurotic weirdo in me, the things that I like about being in a virtual space is that I know my space is hygienically clean. I know that's kind of like a weird thing to say, but I'm like, oh, I don't have to have there's not so much, interesting conversation about body stuff, which frees me up to play even harder or even more open. And so I'm really excited to, participate in Monique's class and Eugene's classes again, because it's so juicy. Like, Tantra is so juicy that the energy is so palpable just through the breath. Just through, I'm here with these 4 people, and I know that I'm here, and I can feel your energy and feel your hearts beating. Yeah. I'd love to hear a little bit more about the inspiration for teaching, a little bit more about the inspiration for teaching and the inspiration for sharing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think so. I'll jump in. First, I'm really curious. From San Diego and the pujas, and that's wow, an amazing memory. Tantra gave me the keys to unlock the possibility that I could actually love myself. Like, we throw around these terms a lot. What is self-love? Or people come and they receive encouragements to just be yourself. And actually, having grown up in an environment where not only was that discouraged, but specifically to set oneself aside, to sacrifice who you are and become what others desire you to be, was considered the most righteous thing that you could do. So to just be told, hey, be yourself, is a little bit overwhelming for people who are new to this. That desire is there, but there's no roadmap. And coming into a space where not only was everything welcome and included, but actually, because people were living from a state of presence and teaching the qualities of presence and permission, that also includes permission to be overwhelmed, to be confused, to be scared. And with that, it comes inherently the permission to actually be at your own pace. That Tantra isn't about, hey, push yourself. We're not here to create new wounds and traumas, but actually learn how to love ourselves where we are now so that we can be conscious co-creators in our own evolutionary process. But understanding that we are all in that individuated evolutionary process. And the first step before we can be, so expressive is actually to learn to care for ourselves and love ourselves, so that authentic expression of self feels safe to emerge. And coming into that community, not just learning the teachings, but being with the community of people that were also on that process, gave me the permission to slowly let go of the stories of who I should be, and that the value that I bring to the world is through the things that I do, or the way I show up that pleases others, as opposed to being who I am, and actually recognize that the gift of being a soul is inherent in my existence itself, that I don't have to be something to prove that I'm worthy of life, that I can actually be as I am and enjoy life as it is. And from that start, I'm at a place now where I love my life in a way that so far exceeds the greatest dreams I ever had possible, that it's almost impossible not to share. And the great thing about Tantra is that it's not a path of truth. It's not, hey, we have the answer and you don't have the answer, so you need to listen. But actually, as a tantric, we witness where people are and see the love in the way they are, including those that would resist us, those that would, be triggered by what we do, to recognize that everyone is loving each other the best way they can, and sometimes that can be, really, really challenging. But we're not here to tell somebody that you're doing something wrong, but actually to just live as an embodied being, loving our life and being the example that might invite other people to be curious, like, how did you get there? And so my path as a teacher was really unexpected. I had another career that I was very happy with, but there was something inside that realized that all the things that I thought I had to deny about myself to actually be part of community and to have a joyful life were actually the keys to unlock the most amazing, wonderful life ever. And that I don't have to teach anything. Tantra isn't about teaching something, but actually helping us to unlearn what's in the way of just being who we are, of remembering that there's nothing to do, but actually you being you is the most generous thing possible. And because it's elegantly simple and it doesn't require that I have a specific knowledge I have to convey to people, but instead just the permission to be who you are and that everything is right there, it became impossible not to. And, I can't describe what it's like to see someone have that moment of permission for the first time, that moment of loving themselves for the first time. So that's how we started, and that's where I am.
That's beautiful. It's just like really a beautiful description, Eugene. And one of the things I hear, my interpretations, is that your own experience of how Tantra helped you to love yourself created then a natural overflow. And that natural overflow is then what becomes your sharing with others. Yeah, beautiful. Monique, I'd love to hear kind of your riff on that too, because you've got your own Monique kind of variation of that, I believe.
Well, I completely agree with you, Jane. Like all different Tantra teachers, like if you ask them, what is Tantra? Then you're going to get a different answer from every single one. But for me, the one that stuck like deep in my soul is Tantra is the path of falling in love with yourself. And so the puja that Trish is talking about, like the first time that Kai brought the puja to San Diego, because we met in New York, we've been talking, he's like, let's co-create. I'm going to bring a gift for you. And so that was just part of our weekend offerings. And I'm sitting in the puja, and this is incredible. So a puja is a gift or an offering of devotion. And so this particular puja has all of the elements from India. You have this beautiful red velvet tray with 9 different elements that are offered to you. And so there's givers and receivers. And the receivers, that's your job, is to just sit there and receive. And like Eugene's talking about, if you grow up feeling like you need to give and your value, and for me, it was definitely like the only right that I had to exist on this planet is if I kept doing stuff. If I added value to your life, like I needed to prove my right to exist. And so I'm sitting in this puja and just like wanting to even namaste to the givers, and you're not allowed to namaste back. You just have to keep your hands on your lap. And it was the hardest thing in the world for me to just receive. And then we get to the rose petals, and they're offering rose petals, and they're dropping it over my head, and all these tears, like it's already offered me my tears. It's one of the most beautiful parts of this puja. And then the tears have come, the roses are there, and I'm just crying and laughing, and like the truth of the universe comes through me, and I'm like, oh, I'm worthy I'm worthy of existence because I do exist. There's nothing else I have to do. And so it was just like this aha moment, and just being able to see that in people's faces. And like a few years later, then Kai moved on to medicine. And so he offered the puja to me because I trained with him for 2 years. And so now I've gotten to share this around the world. And the most beautiful spot for me was in China, because I was invited over to China to the underground Tantra movement. And we offered this puja there, and the women there feel like they're second-class citizens. Like as much as I felt like that I didn't have a right to exist, they feel like they don't even have a right to be anywhere, to take up space. Like they should have died. A lot of them, and their parents even tried to kill them. Like it's so sad, but they're like the repression, the level of repression that they have has left them open. They're the most willing people I've met on this planet, because they're like, there has to be something else. So they're sitting in this puja, and just to watch their eyes open and their heart open and their bodies, and they're like, oh, I can receive. And that's the gift. And so if you're able to offer this space where people can come and they realize that they have permission to just be who they've always wanted to be, like that, whatever they were born with, that's your birthright. Those are your gifts. And then teachers and parents and society try to cover them up and say, oh no, be like this. And so as you're in the space where they're like, oh, you can do that if you want, but I'd love to see you. And you look around and there's other people being themselves, and they're not ashamed, they're unabashedly showing up. All of a sudden you're like, oh, I actually don't want to sit there. I want to have an extra cushion. Oh, there, that feels so much better. And just these little things start helping you find the permission to be you on this planet.
I think I just fell in love. Like again, twice, like 3 times all over here. Okay. I knew Tantra when I was teaching as the unity between all of my parts. And that's what stemmed, like really catapulted me into my life here in California, and catapulted me into doing what I do, which is teaching self-love. But something I wanted to share with you, Monique, is that I got this beautiful piece at the puja, and I have carried it for years, and it literally lives on my little miniature altar in my school bus that I live in. Like it's fantastic. I love what you both are saying, and I love what you both are teaching. It's so necessary in the world that we teach each other and we hold each other in the places of our authentic, raw, vulnerable expression, and see and meet each other there. I mean, that's where the most intimacy can be woven into this life, is in that raw, just truth of yourself. Like, yeah.
Well, since the 3 of you kind of covered the beautiful self-love part of Tantra, the part of Tantra for me, and when I describe it, is Tantra actually literally, as all of these 3 people know, means to weave. And for me, Tantra has been weaving my masculine and feminine side together, weaving my spiritual self with my animal, human body self. And that's very much what Tantra has been for me, is learning how to weave the different parts of myself together. And of course, when I'm blessed to be with a tantric partner, certainly my wife, before she passed away, and others, to weave our spirits together and to weave our bodies together. And so I really love that flowing, weaving, and making the weaving conscious. Okay, how can we bring our bodies together? How can we bring our spirits together? And how can I bring the different parts of myself together? Especially that, the spiritual side and the animal, human side of myself as well. So it's kind of a lot of what Tantra has been for me. And it's a beautiful thing. And Monique's right. If you ask 100 people, what does Tantra mean? You'll probably get 100 answers. It's like, what is Christianity to people of, a Catholic versus Episcopalian versus a Mormon versus an atheist? They're all going to have different ideas of Christianity. So it really, really varies. And it all comes into one world. So Eugene, tell us a little bit about some of the other teachers that are going to be at your festival and some of the other topics, perhaps.
Yeah, so one of the great things, again, being unshackled by the geography and time, is we have people from Northern Hemisphere, Southern Hemisphere, a big group of European teachers, Australian teachers, North American teachers, even South America, and South Africa. So you're going to get a lot of different voices and points of view, which is really intentional. To be honest, when I first thought about doing the Tantra Festival, my first idea was to have it be very curated, filtering through my own ego sense of, I know who the top teachers are, and I will invite just this little core group of people. And, I had this very controlled vision, and I noticed that the energy wasn't moving. And so I questioned myself, like, maybe I don't want to do it. And then the idea became, wait a minute, I organize festivals and I can only invite, 12 teachers on average, each time. What if, instead of curated and small and this really choice group, so to speak, what if I push my own edge and realize that anyone that is inviting someone to feel more curious about their own life is the most amazing teacher? There's one of the great downloads that I received from my primary teacher was, don't seek someone based on their certificates, but ask how many times have they felt wonder today? How many times have they felt awe today? Because the reality is that someone can leave a workshop feeling like, wow, that teacher is really smart and I should follow them. And I'm not sure that really helped them at all. Or they can leave feeling more excited and curious about their own life. And so we have people from some of the most renowned teachers in the world. Lynn Holmquist, who organizes the largest in-person Tantra festival in the world. We have Sean Roop, who's one of the most renowned teachers. We have people who are crossing between shamanism and Tantra, some of the Ista leadership, Ohad Pele and Dawn and Kamala Devi, to some of the newer teachers that are, breaking down new barriers, coming from different points of view, where the way Tantra shows up in their life becomes a new revelation for everybody. And that's what I find. I'm super excited for this whole range of teachers, and I'm equally as excited about the new person I have that has been teaching for a year, but they're exciting their audience because they're saying things in a new way, because they see the world in a new way. I was opened up by Tantra, and then I went and sought, I discovered Kashmiri Shaivism and this beautiful lineage, because it gave me, to feel the ancient gave me more permission to believe the things I was experiencing in my body. And there's other people who come at it from a different point of view. They came in through, movement classes and, pujas in people's living rooms, and they have this enthusiasm and passion for Tantra, and they say things in a way that I've never heard before. And that's what's exciting. And so that's why we have such a large range of teachers, is so that everyone that comes can find somebody that will inspire them. And that's part of the core motivations, part of the core themes, is just as Tantra is about how do I include more of myself in each moment, same with this festival. How do we make more space to include not only more participants, but more voices? Because, there's someone that can communicate information they know in their head, and then there's the gift of somebody that can communicate a life experience that's moving from their heart, from their passion. It's like when you share about your favorite movie. When I think of, when people ask me, how do you teach Tantra? It's like, when you're sharing about it, it should be like sharing your favorite song. You don't have to memorize what to say. When someone says, what's your favorite song? You light up and you can speak from the heart. And what does that do? That inspires the other person to be more excited about their favorite song, or to learn, to listen to your favorite song. And that's the way we wanted to share, from generosity, from overflowing. So that's a little bit of the answer.
I'd love to read a couple of the names of the classes as we, as I'm sitting here kind of scrolling through some of the amazing teachers that you have. You've got Safer Sex Talks to My Body as a Temple, Sexual Self-Mastery for Men. You've got Trumbika, who's an amazing human, overcoming the freeze response. Her class is fantastic. I definitely suggest you all take that. That's a really, really great class. Dr. Martha Tara Lee, she's fantastic as well. Emotional releasing without the banging on the pillows. Awesome. I like the joke. There's just so much that's being offered at this festival. And I think that there's something for everyone, I think that there's something, if you're looking for the emotional path, or the physical path, or the connected to another person path, or your own personal shamanic path. But check out the website. Scott just put it in.
Yep, so there it is. And again, people can go to tantrafestival.online. So it's, again, go to www.tantrafestival.online. That's where you can get more information about it, see the presenters, the schedule, which will keep, I think, getting built, and register for it. Get your tickets. Yeah, it's going to be pretty cool.
And we have a special discount for the viewers here, which is if they put in the code LOVECOACH, then they get 25% off of any ticket.
Mm-hmm.
That's very cool. So go to www.tantrafestival.online and put in Love Coach. That's an easy one to remember, given our show and who Trish and I are. And we're going to be promoting this for the next 2 weeks between now and the time that the festival begins. We're going to also promote it tomorrow night on Saturday Night Alive for the Global Peace Tribe. So I think we'll do one last round of everybody just sharing something, and then we'll wrap it up. Monique, what's your final thought for the evening?
Well, I think definitely if you have been wondering about Tantra, or you're wanting to go deeper into Tantra, like, this is one of the most incredible weeks that you can dive into. And I love the online festivals, and Eugene just does it top of the line. So you're held, you have space for everything, and you're reminded to take care of yourself. And so you can just dip your toes in, you can have these amazing experiences, and then you can go back and watch your favorites again and again and let yourself integrate them. And then hopefully, like, again, one of the other great things that I love about this, and what Eugene was talking about, is anytime that someone says, I have the way, I tell the person listening to run in the opposite way, because the only person they have the way for is themselves. And so this is a fantastic smorgasbord where you're able to drop in. Maybe you drop in for 10 minutes, maybe you drop in for 2 hours for a class, but then you're able to listen and glean what works for you. Take those pieces in and throw the rest out. And that's the beauty of having this week-long smorgasbord of this amazing, incredible taste of falling in love with yourself, of opening up to more of you, and just taking away what feeds your soul.
Beautiful. Yeah, absolutely. The only way is for each of us to find it, but we get these different pieces from Monique and from Trish and from Eugene. Jeff in our Zoom room has a good question, actually. So I want to read it and see what Monique and or Eugene have to say about it. Jeff writes, COVID-19 sure allows us to go digital. How long do you believe we may be in this Zoom connectivity? Plus, are we allowed to have safe, sacred connection online? Eugene or Monique, you want to tackle that?
Yeah, in terms of how long, if I've learned anything, and it took me a while to learn it, I don't know. There was a series of time where I kept rescheduling things and putting out, and right now I have nothing firm on my schedule next year, except a couple of things that are rescheduled for the same dates because it was ease, but I don't know. And I feel that the yearning to know has created a lot of you know, a lot of these theories, a lot of things that people are trying to hold on to, because it's just that we want to imagine that someone's in control, even if it's, you know, a dark power. And the truth is there's something happening, and we don't know how long it's going to last. But what we can do is continue to say, instead of seeing through the filter of what can't I do right now, instead realize I'm still in my body, I'm still breathing, I'm still in this magnificent world, and what's the magic I can feel right now? Where is the place that I can experience and share the most love right now? And it's like it's like an incredible free tantric training we're all getting. Like how do we literally surrender into the unknown? Like, stop talking about it, but say, if I don't know what's coming, can I still feel myself? Can I be in ease with the unknown and instead be in this moment right now? And in terms of connection, yes, absolutely. So I'm aware of at least a dozen connections, I mean, new relationships, intimate connections that have been born from our festivals. And these are just the ones that I'm aware of, because people do meet each other. It's not just go on Zoom and watch workshops, but we have, you know, a dedicated private group for people that encourages a lot of connection and intimate sharing and vulnerable sharing. And we meet each other that way. But we also have spaces specifically made for that, from basic meet and greet to tantric temples that, you know, people meet and they move sexual energy together. There's an incredible capacity, and I was really blown away to recognize that even in the absence of physical touch initially, I feel somebody and move my eros and move my heart energy the same way as I would if they were in person. And so these aren't just, you know, to say it's a virtual connection doesn't mean that it's less of a connection. It's just a connection where our physical bodies haven't met yet. So there are people making really deep, lasting, loving, intimate connections at events like this. And what I just encourage people to do is to allow yourself to experience that what you feel, even through a screen, is real. The connections you make are real, and there's no reason to treat them as anything less than such. Dive into it, open your heart, and remember, everyone on the other side of the screen is yearning for the same thing you are.
Beautifully stated. Beautiful. Beautiful.
I have some things to say about that.
Yeah.
I did a festival at the beginning of COVID, and it was 7 days. It was really powerful. That's where I first got to see Eugene's work, and I met someone in Israel, and we stayed friends. We did like deep eye gazing moments together, and it was so intimate. We did an energetic sex experience together, and there was a safety about it because I didn't have to commit to the in-person thing. Maybe I should work on some of these like commitment issues I got, obviously, but but I'm like, oh, pin that somewhere. But it was really like, we still reach out, and he's telling me about his life and experiences, and it's also where the person that I'm dating now, that's how we met. Like, he started to run and throw these beautiful sex parties, invited me in as an experience or as a host in one of these rooms, and we just built our friendship that way. And his COVID protocol is excessively strict. And you know, what I think about connection online is that you get to know someone's values. You get to know someone's emotionality, about how they think, and that really builds a foundation of how, if you can actually like hang out with them in person. Because then, I mean, don't get me wrong, the body and pheromonal attraction and the energetic space is really important. And I think that's the easier place to connect than maybe the mental, emotional place where people have, like, you know, issues about opinions and things. So I really think that the places that you can connect online, and there are really amazing places that you guys have really built around connection and building connection with others. Like how you do that. I don't know how, but I made friends from California. I've got friends now up north. I have friends in Hawaii that I've never even met before. I got friends all over the world because I went to this Tantra festival in the middle of COVID. Yeah, it's possible. The only thing that's not possible is where you limit yourself in your own imagination.
Beautiful. Beautiful. All right, I'm going to go a couple of just last reminders. Go to tantrafestival.online. That's where we want to register and put in Love Coach. When you're buying your tickets, put in Love Coach, and Eugene's giving a 25% discount for people who are watching tonight. So do it tonight. Put
That's
in
so
Love.
generous.
That's really cool. Thank you. I want to mention a couple of other things. Trish and I are going to be doing a workshop, and we've got we've got like 5 spots left, and we're doing it on November 14th, and definitely want to encourage people to come and join us. And this is primarily for people who really want to work on, it feels so good to merge with another person. God, it feels so good to merge. But sometimes we get into that kind of unhealthy codependent enmeshment. And so we're going to do a wonderful 3-hour workshop a week from tomorrow, 10 o'clock in the morning Pacific time. And if you want more information on it, private message Trish or myself, and we'll even give you a discount for that one.
Yeah.
So that's a week from tomorrow.
I love teaching codependent classes with you, Scott.
Because we both have been very codependent in our previous relationships. And
can I just say that I just built a singles group called Secure, Sovereign, and Single. So you guys should make friends with that too. There's going to be all sorts of sassy stuff all over there.
And where do people find out about that, Trish?
I'll drop it in the box.
Okay, great. And then the last thing I just want to remind people about tomorrow night's edition of Saturday Night Alive. And it's going to be a really special one. Obviously, there's a lot going on with the election, a lot of strong feelings, a lot of challenged relationships. And so we're really dedicating tomorrow night's show to unifying with compassion. We've got Marianne Williamson joining us live. We've got Foster Gamble, who created both of the Thrive movies, which are amazing, talking about some of the amazing solutions that are available. We've got Charles Eisenstein. We've got Lori Ladd. Great music, Collie's Angels, Old Buddy Fantuzzi, and a magician, Paul Draper, and some special surprises. So join us tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. We're now reaching about 50,000 people with that show. It's incredible how it's grown. And Eugene's going to be on. Eugene's going to make a special guest appearance. We have our Global Peace Tribe Recommend section, and we're recommending Eugene's Festival. So definitely join us tomorrow night. Thank you, Eugene from North Macedonia. He's actually at the airport, about to fly to Cabo to join your meet. It's so good to see both of you. Thanks for joining us. Trish, I love you.
I love you too.
Have a wonderful evening, everybody, and hopefully we'll see you tomorrow night. Take care.
Bye.